Back in the garage, back in the garage, back in the garage today, back in the garage. What's up guys, back in the garage today with some work to do to my 2016 KTM 1290 Super Adventure, but first, I need to do something about this light. I just picked up a new ballast and we're gonna switch over to T8 bulbs, which heat up much quicker in the winter time. So, gotta get that changed because it's over top of where I parked my lift and I need to be able to see. And now we have some light, so it's time to get to work. Alright, so today I'm going to be showing you how to eliminate the evaporation canister underneath the passenger seat on a KTM 1290 Super Adventure. Also work on an 1190 Adventure and Adventure R. Probably even work on the new 1290s that just came out. And also kind of work on the other adventure bikes from KTM, though the locations are a little bit different of their canisters. In order to get rid of them, we're going to be using this cool little kit from Rottweiler, which features a dongle as well as some plugs we're going to need in order to seal up some vacuum lines. So let's get to work. Alright, so in order to access the evaporation canister, first off we have to take off the rear seat. So if you don't know how to do that, key just goes in, turn, allow us to pop this off. As always, when removing the rear seat, at least on the Super Adventure, be sure to unplug your heated seat connector right there, and then just set this off to the side. Now, if you don't know what the evaporation canister is, it's this. We're going to get rid of this entire thing. And while it is possible to just unplug it, the reason why we're going to use the Rottweiler kit is because it comes with the dongle, so once we plug that in, we won't get a code being thrown on the bike and then some sort of warning light on the dash. Why do I want to get rid of this? It's not really for performance gains, though it does weigh a few pounds. I mainly just want to make room for my tire repair kit and my tool kit for my bike so I don't have to keep it up here in the top case, and it'll free up some more space in there. So that's why we're going to get rid of this thing today. Next thing I want to do, these are Torx head. We're going to pull these two screws out and then we'll move on. Alright, got it freed up. One more quick thing before we get started. Since we are modifying the emission system on the bike, this is obviously for off-road purposes only. You know, you shouldn't be doing this if you're riding your bike on the street. Alright, so hopefully you guys can see, we've got two lines running out of this canister. You have the purge line and the tank line, and we are going to have to trace these lines out. Alright, so what you want to do at this point is we want to unhook the one that's going to the tank. So just to make things a little bit easier, I decided to go ahead and take this off, which required me to take that off, which is just 4 bolts, and then these two little Torx head screws that sit right back here just give us a little more clearance to get to this hose. We can see this is the hose running to the tank, so basically all I want to do is pull this out of here because we need to get it removed. Alright, so we're able to pull the tank hose up to here. Now what we're going to have to do is just go ahead and clip this zip tie in order to let us go ahead and go a little further. Just make sure you have another zip tie handy. Alright, so the good news is everything's going as planned. The bad news is I got a lot of pieces I need to remove from this bike in order to finish the job. Since I've already filmed that stuff in a recent video, I'll just link that up here and then show you the additional steps it's going to take in order to finish this job. The previous video I shot will show you how to remove the crash bars, the side covers, the tank cover, and the two mask covers here where the turn signals go. This is what your bike's going to look like, and the fuel tank's coming next. Alright, so down here underneath the bike, the first step is to close the fuel cocks. You're going to do that by just turning them until they stop. You've got one on the left hand side. If you look over there, you also see you have one on the left hand side. Do it to both of them. Next thing we're going to do are slide these clamps back. Again, there's one on each side, and then remove the fuel hoses. Now keep in mind, if there's any little excess or overflow, it is going to flow out onto the ground or get a catch can. With the fuel hoses removed on both sides, you're going to push down on this and disconnect the fuel assembly. Next up, we have some cable ties we want to get rid of. We also want to disconnect this plug right here. Up here on top of the tank, we want to disconnect here. We want to remove the bleeder hoses, and then we've got this screw to take out right here. And last but not least, before we're able to remove the fuel tank, we've got this screw and one over on the other side. Alright, so with everything removed, the next thing we need to do is actually take off the tank. And there's the tank off the bike. I would recommend trying to do it without a full tank, but with a helper you can get it off of there. And there's what the mighty Super Adventure looks like with no tank. Looks rather small. Anyway, let's get back to work here. Here's what the air filter looks like with a little less than 7,000 miles on it. All right, so that hose that was running from the canister marked tank, I can see runs all the way up here to this little splitter. So we've got it all pulled out from the frame, and I'll show you what to do with it here in just a second. Now this is the hose that we just traced all the way up. What I've done is tucked it back in, and I don't know if you can see that little bit of movement there, and I've got it hanging out here because we want it to be able to drain any overflow. I'm gonna cut this here in just a little bit, but for right now I'm gonna leave it here while we go back and work on the other hose. One more quick thing on this hose coming from the tank that we traced. The reason why I'm having it come out here is because this is where all the other drain hoses are. Just wherever you have it come out, make sure it's got a clear path to the ground and nowhere near the exhaust. Next up, we want to go ahead and unplug this hose and remove the canister. And then same sort of deal, we're just going to go ahead and start fishing this hose out and tracing it all the way to the front. Okay, so before we go any further, you can see I just unplugged the SAS valve, and we're going to plug this little dongle in to fool the computer into thinking we have a complete circuit. Well, I've got all this unplugged, but unfortunately Rottweiler sent me the wrong part. They sent me part B, and I need part A that'll actually fit my bike. So I'm kind of cooked on being able to plug this back in right now. In the meantime, what we're going to do is take this purge hose and go ahead and do what we need to do to it. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to decide where we want to cut this, which is probably going to be about right here, so I can tuck it in behind there, and then we're going to block it off. With the hose cut, what we want to do is block it off. Now the Rottweiler kit comes with this little nylon bolt, which I'm going to go ahead and insert in there. You could use some sort of other bolt, but basically what we're going to do is shut down the vacuum there. And now I just got it kind of tucked back in behind the frame. Now we're going to come to the one running off of the fuel tank. What I'm planning to do is take this, I'm going to undo this little hose clamp here, run it down here, undo this one down here, and tuck it all in with these. Now that looks utterly ridiculous with how long it is, so I'm just going to go ahead and snip it off right about there, and that'll clean it up nicely. And there we go. Now if I only had that plug, I could actually put my bike back together, but we'll probably just fast forward a few days to when the plug arrives and then get back to reassembling the Super Adventure.
4 to 6 more days later.
Got it. So finally got the kit that I actually need. Let's get it put on and get this thing put back together. Now that I have the correct dongle here, should plug in right like that, and then we're just going to kind of tuck it back here behind this PCV valve. I don't know if you can see it, it's kind of tucked in right there. Looks pretty clean. It's time to put this bad boy back together. I'm actually going to start putting it back together. I just want to put the back section on with the rack and everything first. Just a reminder, plug your little seat controller in back here before you put it all back together so it'll actually work, at least on the Super Adventure model. We're going 18.4 foot-pounds of torque on those bolts. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. Right now we just have the fuel tank resting on here. We've got a bolt here. We've got bolts coming in each side, and we also have to get these breather hoses hooked back up. We've got this bolt that's going to go right back down into there. Alright, so we got this one in on this side and on the other side. We got this Allen in up here. Now we've got this breather hose is going to go here. You've got this breather hose is going to go here. And then last but not least, you want to remember to plug this back in to the sending unit here for your fuel gauge. Alright, so down here on the left side of the fuel tank, first thing we got to do is plug this connector back in. Next up, we got to plug this fuel line back in to this piece right here. It's a little hard to see, but it's just the opposite of when we took it apart earlier. Hopefully you guys can see it, but that's what the line should look like when it's reassembled. And next we just want to take this little clamp here, or not clamp, but little strap, and just kind of tidy everything up underneath here. Now we're going to take the hose line, it's going to go right back on here. Make sure you get the clip back on, and then you're going to open the valve back up, and you're going to do this on both sides. Alright, so now with the fuel tank back on, I'm just going to kind of fast forward to the rest of this until we can get to the end and find out, make sure everything worked alright. Because I've already shot how to reassemble everything in another video, which I linked earlier, but I'll also put in the description down below. It'll show you how to put your bike back together. Now I got everything on the bike back on with the exception of the top case, which I'll put on in a minute, and the seats, but I want to show you guys something real quick. Just a reminder, this is what we started with, the canister in here, and this is what we accomplished. Enough room to put a toolkit and maybe even my tire kit. All right, so the moment of truth, let's make sure we're not throwing any codes and everything's running fine. Looks good. All right, guys, so that is the, I guess you'd say, install of the Rottweiler canister delete kit on a 2016 KTM 1290 Super Adventure. Everything's working great on the bike. I've got plenty of space that I can now fit my toolkit and maybe some other things underneath the seat there. It's not a real difficult job, it's just a time-consuming job. That is assuming you have the right parts. Speaking of right parts, this is dongle kit B. I'm going to list the bikes that it will fit, so if you'd like to do the canister delete on your bike, instead of me shipping this back to Rottweiler, I'm going to ship it out to one of you guys. So just send me an email. I'm going to put my email address across the bottom of the screen. Let me know you'd like the kit. I'm going to ship it out to you within the next couple of days. First come, first served basis. So, hope you guys enjoyed tonight's video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, I look forward to you being one. If you've got some questions about it, let me know in the comment section below. And as always, I'll talk to you again soon.